Okay, I want to welcome everyone to the August 12th meeting of the New Jersey Antique Radio Club here at beautiful Bowen Hall, Princeton University. Thanks for all coming this rainy, hot evening, but it is August, so that's what we expect. Just to start off, I just want to mention that we got a very nice card from Marcia Simpkin. Of course, you know she lost Jerry about a month ago, a little over a month ago. And she sent a card to, oh, here it is, right in front of me. Very nice thank you card to the club and addressed to you guys. So we sent her flowers, so she does appreciate that very much. And we hope to see her very soon. As a matter of fact, I asked her for some favors, get her back into the groove, and she helped me out with a few things. So it's very good to get her back in it again. Because she is missed. We do need her for sure. Any new faces in the crowd? Anybody? Well, I don't know. You say no, but you know we see you once in a while. Why don't you stand up and tell us a little bit?
It may take me a while to get up. Larry Goodadora, WB2SPF. I work at the Plasma Physics Club with Gary and Tom Furlong.
Okay. And no. Okay. Any other new faces? Anybody else? Okay. All right, let's get on to old business. I realized it's been a while, but Sussex Hamfest, who attended and how was it? Neville.
Hi. Good time.
Someone's going to say hi. What?
Oh, yeah, it was not too bad. Kevin and I carried off a rather expensive oscilloscope for a very good deal.
You got a good scope, you're saying?
Starting off good. So there was some good test equipment dealers there. There was
Were you there last year?
many antique radios. I think a dozen brand more.
Oh.
So they're not like any radio pizza, a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah, a lot of stuff.
Well attended and a very large Hamfest. It's one of the bigger ones around.
Yeah. Were you there last year?
Yes.
I was also. Was it the same size? Less?
It
More?
was bigger.
A little bigger.
Bigger
this year, yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
We were a hot day.
It's tough. Yeah.
McAdam was brutal to work
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. It's very good to hear, especially to think the idea that it's growing, something's growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just reminded me of something. Manual Man. You saw Manual Man there, probably.
Pete was there.
Pete was there. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I promoting him? I am. I'm going to promote him. I'm sorry, but the guy we saw, he came to our swap meet at Info Age, and he had something. He got something out of my pile of stuff, and I said, he said, how much? And I said, well, you know, I need something from you. How about a little swap? We're going to swap meet here. And he said, all right, just let me know. And at that moment in time, I couldn't remember what the hell it was. And then happens a lot. So when I got home, I remembered what it was. It was just for a piece of test equipment. So I emailed him. Sure as hell, within days, I mean 3 days, I got what I needed in the mail from him with a big thank you and a thank you back. And so I'm just saying that it's nice to have Pete around, and he's a good guy. He is a good guy. And he does the great product. He really does put out a good product. So anytime you need something from him, just let him know. And he probably has it. He really does. Okay, so that's good. I just remembered that. All right, Saturday, July 23rd. All right, that was our annual summer tailgate. Okay, with OMARC and with the MRCA people too. It was a wonderful day. I thought it was a nice day. It was nice and clear. Nice breeze. Comments? Huh?
Yeah. Whole lot of fun.
A lot of fun, right? And thanks to Radio Wild, we also have a video of it, documenting it.
Well, we got lucky too, because they had a nice breeze coming off the water. So it kept things nice and cool. And
We always have a nice breeze coming off the Chalk River. And it's under the trees getting bigger, right? And we're gone by 12, 1 o'clock. It's not a problem. What is a problem is the weathermen. Okay? That is the problem. Because we had about the same amount of vendors, but we didn't have the same gate. We didn't have the same amount of people stop by as we did the previous year. And if you remember the weather report that weekend, by Sunday afternoon, the earth was going to burst into a ball of flames and we'd just disappear. And I realized what's happening. Remember, we say now cells. What's happening? Weather cells. And it really is. It's very true. Be it the winter or the summer or the spring or the fall, it's the weather. And if Charles Blaney was here, having to do Channel 12 News he used to work with, he would also agree. He always said that. If there's nothing else, it's always the weather. Because everybody's got to deal with the weather. And you've constantly got people telling you about the weather, the weather, the weather. You know, the first snowflake that hits the ground, you get a cut, did you get that? Did you get it on audio of it hitting the ground? It's crazy, but that's all they do all the time, pushing the weather. So forget about sex cells, it's the weather, and everybody gets afraid of it. You know, it's like this weekend again, it's the end of the world, it's going to happen, it's just going to be too hot, too humid, and we're all going to die. So,
Yesterday, it was way hotter than it was during the swap meet.
Have you get the messages on your iPhone for emergency flood?
oh yeah.
All of a sudden your phone starts.
Yeah, it scares the hell out of me.
Well, I can attest to that because I drove through it.
Really?
Soulbury Township is in total disarray.
Yeah, yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Anyway, any other comments? How'd you do as a vendor? I was vending. I did well. Yeah. Good.
Scott, did you have your dollar radio table again?
Yes, I did.
I'm sorry, I missed it.
Well, it's a great deal. I think there's 5 more radios in my car. I didn't take it out yet. One, 5 bucks a car radio.
And also, it was good we had, you know, Harry is a little incommunicado, but he was working his tail off there. But because of his recent operation on his hip and all, we asked for other people to step up and help, and people did. And one of them was Max Theus. We thank you very much, Max. Right up there. It's nice to see somebody under 50, 40, 35.
Yeah, keep going.
That's what we need. Young people step up. Got to step up to the plate, man. Thank you very much for helping out. I really appreciate it. And also Mr. Zakowski, who does his guard duty. He's not here.
Is it true Max even charged the baby in the crib in the bassinet to come in?
Yes.
If there was a pregnant woman, I charge her double.
That's all.
He was getting experience. He's getting experience.
Okay, then next thing you know, we had last weekend, we had our annual summer repair clinic, which we were a little light on the help on the experts, but it worked out. It really worked out. People stepped up again. Charles Blandy happened to be there. He said, "Well, I'll come by." Next thing I know, well, Charles, we need you. Put him with somebody, and there he was. He was helping fix a radio. That's great. Again, we really appreciate people helping stepping up to the plate. It's very important. Comments about last weekend? Repair clinic. Yeah, stuff went out working. I saw even record players working too.
I don't know if the owners here, we had a 1923 Freed Eastman that was found in a barn. I think the guy pulled it out for 20 bucks, for 20 bucks. The only thing is we don't have a lot of old parts in here. So we scrounged some tubes. It was only one bad tube in the whole damn thing after all those years.
That was a Freed Eisman, right?
Right, we got a pair of headphones from the museum, and sure enough, threw a wire across the room and picking up stations.
That's what happens. That's what
A
happens.
Neutrodon.
Yeah,
Although
that's
they're
Bill.
as Al would say, they're very simple. They always, but the thing is, at least we got it working.
It's a new member, Bill.
But consider this. I mean, the thing was 1923, so it probably went out of service 10 years later. Right? And it's been in this barn for how many years? 80 years. 80 more years? 85 years. So. Sticking a tube that was bad. And, oh yeah, it had a bad.
And thanks to you, it got working.
It had a bad capacity. Well, thanks to you for bringing a power supply. But that's the problem.
You were the power supply. I just happened to bring that thing. But that's what we do. That's what we do. We make things work again. Okay. All right, anyway, I had a good time. It was hot, but it was nice and cool inside, that's for sure. All right, Ray, you went down to Maryland, all right?
Yes.
You did a nice report. Anybody else go down to Maryland? Anybody else? No? Ray, you want to talk about it?
Well, it's always a great meet, the Mid-Atlantic Antique Radio Club. And,
What are we talking, 5 hours?
pardon?
5 hours?
Oh, no, 3.5.
Oh, that's
You know, it's just north of Baltimore.
Okay.
And they had a great contest, they always have fabulous stuff in the contest. It's a good meet.
Yeah, and you won something for it.
Yeah, I did a display on Western Electric tubes from World War II.
And if you read the broadcast, Lud was there too, Lud Sibley, and
Yeah,
had a nice
and,
chat up with him.
Spent the weekend with Lud, which is always a wonderful thing to do.
Yeah, how's he doing?
He's doing good. Marilyn's, she's still pretty slow on her feet, but Lud's the same as always.
And is his society growing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He, I tried to get him to come up to New Jersey, but he had a couple of other stops. He wanted to go to AWA to see their museum, so he just couldn't fit it in.
Maybe we'll get to see him again. All right, so again, like Ray said, the Maryland, what club is that? That's,
Mid-Atlantic Antique Radio Club.
yeah.
We got about, I guess they have about 800.
And what's the publication again? Radio Age?
They bought Radio Age from,
Which is a scholarly publication.
It's not a scholarly thing, I mean,
Well, for me it is.
She wants more than that.
they do have a lot of good authors, like Brian Ballinger and a couple others that,
James O'Neill?
like some really
and they have glossy print paper.
Yes. Okay. That's all I have for old business. Anybody else have any old business? All right. Let's go on to new business. Okay, this Wednesday and up to Friday, well, it's Saturday, the 20th, 17th through the 20th is AWA convention in Harriet, New York. How many are going? 1, 2. Anybody else? No? Nah, maybe? All right. Well, going to be really interested in finding out the report. I know Zukowski, he's gone. He always goes. But I don't know. I heard a story that last week, a Jersey Club member, Long Island member of the Jersey Club, he said, let me just try, and he was able to get a room in the hotel, which is a week before the convention was unheard of, but he was able to do that. So I don't know if that's saying something. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But obviously the theme this year is a dual theme with pre-broadcast wireless and Zenith radio. So they're trying to get it from both ends. So it should be interesting. Certainly all the talks are. Everybody knows that the flea market keeps getting less and less. And I think they took a day away, right? It's a day less?
Day less.
All right, so we'll be very interested to find out reports from you guys when you do get back. All right. Talking of scholarly works, the AWA review, I think, is a scholarly work that's put out by the AWA. Yes, you agree with that? Right? Which I don't have it with me, but it's amazing what they write. The authors they get and what they can put together. The last one I was reading about was wireless, I should say, telegraph during Civil War. I found that really fascinating stuff. Okay, let's see. Okay. In the lobby, there is an advertisement. This is kind of interesting. Rolland auctioneers the TechServe collection. TechServe, 23rd Street, Manhattan. Who knows TechServe 23? Yeah. Right. Anybody else? Of course, right?
That's a Mac restoration place. So if you don't go to Mac or Apple, you go there.
Right. They've been around, Robert, since the 80s. I seem to remember them. I've worked in the area. I used to work in the area, definitely in the early 90s. And as you went by their windows, a very big cavernous space, and they did Mac repair. But they also had a wall of radio, old radios.
I've been there. I do not recall seeing radios.
Really?
Yeah.
They're on the top, all around the store too. You go in the store, you just look all around, they're all around.
And as you're walking down 23rd Street, walking west, it's on the north side, you look through the window, you see it. That's what caught my eye. So I went in, I'm looking, they have old Macs too, antique Macs, if you want to call it that. And like Robert says, they're all over. And look, anything that exotic, anything that great, not that I really saw. I saw missing knobs or wrong knobs or this, that, the other thing. Pedestrian radios, I call it. But what's happening is either they lost their lease, they're moving out, they're going out of business, something of that sort. They're not going to be there anymore. And so they are auctioning off their radio collection, and I think some of the early Macs also that they have. And why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because a club member of ours, Scott, I don't know what his name is, he contacted me about this. He lives downtown. He's on 12th Street. He was all excited about, oh, Rich, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, well, I know them. I know the place. I know the radios. I don't think it's anything that great. Oh, but they're going to go for, they want to get rid of them. They're going to be cheap. I said, well, my cheap, our cheap, and Manhattan cheap is quite different.
So we got city now.
Yeah, skies, it's different, So anyway, I contacted Bruce Mager from Waves, and of course Bruce knew about it because he's on 25th Street. He's right around the corner from this. He knows. So he said, yeah, and he agreed. He knew what I was talking about. Last Sunday, I was in Seaford, Long Island. There's a swap meet there, the first Sunday of every month, and some nice-looking young guy and gal come by, and they were giving out these brochures, and they were pushing the brochure, and they work for the Rolland Company, which is an auction house in downtown Manhattan. And as they passed by, I said, oh, okay. And then Bruce Mager came right behind me, and he said, he starts laughing. He says, I've dealt with Rolland House before. Oh, let me back up. So the guy says to me, he says, they're going to be dirt cheap radios. They're going from like $40 to $80. It's a plastic set. And I said, okay, good luck.
Yeah, you want to buy my radio? It's $200.
So Bruce came, and he started giggling. He said, I've dealt with Rolland Company before, and they take a 22% buyer's fee. Wow! Can you imagine that? Nothing like Manhattan.
Sales tax.
So I just for cock-up and giggles, I brought it in.
They probably will sell them for $40 to $80 each in Manhattan.
I don't know who to. I really don't.
Plus, I heard they're advertising on WNYC.
Yeah?
Yes, and
I didn't hear them.
they're advertising, I heard it a couple of times, they're calling it vintage electronics auction.
Yeah, that's what they call it here too.
It's a bargain compared to buying them from the New York
I
Times.
was just going to say. Your times are going to go.
22%. But who buy it?
Yeah.
Darren, I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay? Really, come up here.
But I'm Lauren, you don't want to do that.
Come up here. All right, I'm putting you on the spot. I would have said to you, but you came late, so I couldn't talk to you outside.
What fashionably?
All right, as you're walking, I'll tell you what you're going to talk about. You're going to tell me, or you're going to tell the group, about graffiti spray paint. That story you told me. You guys better listen to this.
You mean, what is it, the 6 points to Western Electric amplifiers?
No, graffiti spray paint.
And the Western electric amplifiers that go with it. That's the whole, okay.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
So, you know,
Yes, that's right.
I've never been accused of throwing things away. But even I will throw things away from time to time, and somehow I'm 37 years old and I managed to have spray paint cans sitting on my shelf that are probably 40 and 50 years old, because when my grandparents moved, everything from their house went to my parents' house, and when they moved, everything that wound up in their house went to my house. So at some point, I'm working in my machine shop out back in the barn behind the house, and I'm saying, why do I have all this paint that probably has no propellant left? So one by one, I'm taking the cans of paint, squeezing them to see if they're soft, and if not, I'm spraying them and then emptying them, putting them back or throwing them away. And my buddy comes over, and there's this recycle pail full of spray paint cans, and he looks in the pail, he says, what are you doing? I said, I'm throwing away the dead spray paint. He said, no, don't throw it away, it's worth a fortune. And I said, well, look, it's worth a fortune, it's dead, it has no propellant left. He said, look on eBay. I go on eBay and I look up vintage Krylon spray paint. And I see a can of Krylon green spray paint, some jungle green I think was the shade, that sold for $650.
I haven't tell you guys.
So I said, okay. So I go back out to the shop and I start pulling cans out of the pail and look up. The first thing I find is a can of Sears Roebuck spray paint. I said, okay. I said, I know what this is from. My dad bought this when I was a kid because he had a pink hat. He was spraying the towel holes to match. I go on and I see they can't read similar cans, so they put it on eBay. Those really went the best of my photos. Sounded like take that cash register sound that eBay made. For Amway.
There's no paint in it.
There's paint, but okay. So I get sick of watching paint does it. So I said, I tell you what, I said, I don't feel like shipping spray paint because technically you're not supposed to do it, so on and so forth. I said, and you're on my way home, so I'll just drop it off to you, $50. I'm really happy. I said, besides, I got a lot of cans. You want? Yeah, bring them. So I load all the cans in the truck and I go to work. All my stop off it is at an auto repair shop in Perth Amboy, right on Congreve, off of Congreve Boulevard. I take the can and he's all excited. He loves the cans. I brought him a whole bunch of stuff. And we made a deal. He paid me, I probably sold a lot of them for less than they were worth, but it's trash to me. Okay. So, as we're having this discussion, he tells me, he said, I travel all over the place buying out old hardware stores. To find, I go in the basements of old hardware stores to find paint. He said, and I wrote a book. And there's a book, and there's a website called Cap Matches Color. Look at Cap Match Color. There's a called Cap Match Color. And this guy and his friend are spray paint collectors, and as it turns out, there is a large community, large enough community of vintage spray paint and can collectors. So you have to ask the question, why do people collect vintage spray paint? So I'm gonna counter that with a question. Why do baby boomers collect because they had them as kids, right? Well, stupid me grew up in the 80s watching television, and every night we watched the news. And you see train go by in the city, and you cover it in graffiti. Well, all those kids grew up now, and they were kids. They had kids back. Kids growing up, they don't do that stuff anymore. But now they have rooms in their houses with 1x4 shelving along the walls, and they have all the cans lined up, and they even collect cans from before their. And basically, that's how it began. And I grew up cursing the stuff, and now they're paying me money for the cans. But the story gets better. The guy who bought the can from me said, I went to this place out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to buy spray paint. And I went in this basement, and there were shelves with all the stuff. And he said, but before you got to the room where all the paint was the remnants of this guy's electronics business. And because I told him I knew the tubes and all. He said, that's the tubes. Come back out there to get more paint. I'll take some pictures for you. So he takes pictures and sends them to me on my phone. And there are just rows and rows of shelves full of tubes. Well, I said, okay, sends me the guy's number, and I went out there and made a deal for the tubes, and the guy says, oh, look through the basement, there's a lot of old electronic stuff. So I start digging, and I dig, and I see there's a Western Electric broadcast monitor amplifier laying on the floor, and I found one of those Western Electric, the amp with the T handle, that, like in the museum, we have in the museum. Yeah, that's it, yeah. I mean, I left out of there twice with full truck bed and full trailer. And all because of, what's that?
So much for you cleaning up.
All because of spray paint.
Wow.
So the moral of the story, go home.
And look for spray.
Look at your spray paint. Go on eBay and look at the cans. Apparently, there are cans from the 50s that are worth $1,000.
But just this week, last week, I threw out a can of car paint for my Vega. I had it from the red.
What I understand, car paint, not. And what's really interesting is when I handed him the can and looked at it, he starts describing to me in detail how, frankly, I can't tell old cans when made, and depending on which warnings and how they're printed, you can date how old the can is, and the address from where, who owned what line, and what a bunch of nerds.
And people.
Yeah, but the sobering thing about your story is that I mean, you're talking about these spray paint collector guys buying dead cans of spray paint. These guys are completely crazy, they're completely nuts. This is exactly how the rest of the world looks at radio collectors.
Well, they say it's the solder fumes. I guess for them it's all the silane and toluene and all the stuff they put in it.
But there are beer can collectors, so.
There are toilet collectors.
There are vacuum cleaner collectors.
There are vacuum, washing machine and toilet.
Yeah, it's spray paint cans.
There's at least one guy who collects toilets.
Yeah.
Do they ever try to recharge those?
No, I don't think they do. I think they just pretty much put them on the shelf. Now, what I said about all of this is I looked at it from another perspective, because I'm not just a radio collector or a junk collector, I'm also a firefighter. I said to myself, these guys are lining the walls of their houses with some of the nastiest stuff that's ever been made.
How did they tell us whether it's a can that was during the time in their youth when they were spray painting? Is there a date code or something on it?
Again, what he told me and the way it was, and this guy is apparently, it just so happens, the guy, he's about my age. Maybe, yeah.
Young kid.
But
So there's a teenager.
the story that he explained to me is that that's how it started. But they don't just collect cans from their youth now. They collect older cans, and if they trade them, and apparently the most valuable cans are these cans from the 50s, which I hate to admit I've actually seen these things in basements of estate sales, that have these little, the top is flat and it has a strange little metal device that's great. But
Doesn't that guy have another website, getalife.com?
yeah, you know what? I don't know. In a room full of radio collectors, I don't know if we can say stuff like
Well,
that.
if you remember last month, I told her I read the book on junk, and that we are not just collectors, we are acquisitionists, so we're all acquisitions. Thank you very much, Darren.
Yes.
So we have that story repeated, and everybody enjoyed it.
You trace the spray paint with tubes.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Tomorrow is Saturday, and it's a big event, right? Somerdale, New Jersey. Now, all of you people are from New Jersey, well, most of you, some of you are from Pennsylvania. But even you people from Pennsylvania know where Somerdale is because it's closer to Pennsylvania, right? All right, Bob Hayworth, all right, is a member of our club. He's getting up in years, and he has very generously offered to our membership to come to his house in Somerdale, New Jersey, 112 Tilford Road, Somerdale, and get what he has left at his house before it is sold. Okay.
Just
It is
club members.
all free.
Just club members.
Club members.
No, I mean, not any random person.
Club members. Okay, and he is a club member.
So I said to her, I just said, join the New Jersey Anti-Grading Club, and since
So, there's pictures out front. You saw them when you came in. You can see them at break time. That's just a spattering of what's there. Okay, we're talking about a house. We're talking about a large shed, and we're talking about a garage. All right? And there is good stuff. All right, and there's parts, and you name it, it's there. Military, all sorts of stuff. Now, Bob has another collection, and that's been moved to his daughter's house where he lives now. And eventually that will be for sale. Those items will be for sale. But right now, tomorrow, between 9 and 3, you come and you take. There will be rules and regulations. I've been getting emails, phone calls. How can this happen, Rich? This is going to be a zoo. People are going to get hurt. Call the EMS. Have the police there. It's not going to be that way. Because you know why? We're all New Jersey Antique Radio Club, and we're all gentlemen. Right? Shake your heads, yes.
every man for himself.
So I don't expect fistfights with 70-year-old people on the front lawn.
Now, who did this about 5-6 years ago in the driveway, put everything out in the driveway?
Yes, I remember that number, yeah.
Yeah.
I figured his name out.
And that went very well.
Did it go well?
It went very well.
All right, so anyway, it is free. I don't know, I have to say this 5 times, it is free. If somebody wants to pay me for coming, they can pay me. I don't know, it's free. All right? You must bring boxes, bags, hand trucks if you need be, okay? Respect, it's a suburban environment, you know, don't park in somebody else's driveway or block the driveway or something. It's easy to get to, it's about 10 minutes off of the turnpike.
Is it 4?
Was it
Yes,
actually 3 or 4 weeks?
Maybe a good way to say it is don't act like you're at an estate sale.
There will be no numbering system, all right? Tomorrow I will express what we're going to be doing, and it's very simple. And it's not complicated, and it won't be a problem. Believe me, there won't be a problem. John?
Oh, I just wanted to say, you may remember Summerdale from the Frank Krantz auction, 1998. Frank, I think, was a friend of Bob Hawks. Summerdale's not that big.
Right.
And there was this huge
Voorhees-
auction
Voorhees
about 98, 99.
Yeah, somebody else mentioned that. and I-
Well attended, a lot of neat stuff, and that was in Summerdale.
3 days, right?
I think it was, yeah, 2 or 3 days, yeah. I stayed at my parents' house and commuted to the thing, yeah.
All 3 days.
I think so, it's a little fuzzy now. I didn't get much, the competition.
It's
was
Bob's
fierce.
daughter, Karen, and her husband, Bruce Barkhoff. Very nice people. I talked to them this morning, and they said, "Oh, we'll have lemonade, we'll have plenty of drinks." And I said, "Well, I'm going to bring a case of water too." They're very, very nice people. Again, the premise is we're looking to sell the house. Bob wants to sell the house. He knows he has to sell the house. He's living with me, and this stuff has to go. Most of the house is empty, except for the radio stuff. This has been in the works for about 18 months, to tell you the truth. Okay. So you are all welcome to come, and I think it would be a mistake if you don't. Okay? You know, everybody can think of an excuse. Make an excuse. If you don't want to come, you don't want to come. One thing you can't say to me is, "I don't need it." All right? Because again, we don't use that word "need."
Even if it's true.
So, a show of hands if you are coming tomorrow.
Bring a truck.
I have to work. No deal.
I'm sorry for
That's
that.
no excuse.
I know you guys are heartbroken about that.
You saw the boat anchors there too.
Huh? What are you gonna do?
Is there any space?
Hey, John, I have to work too, and actually, that's probably a good thing.
Pre-war television sets.
No, it's really good that I
When
can't.
I took the photos, when I was there, I took the photos, but I wasn't at the moment in time looking for spray. But you know, I'll bet there is. I'll bet there is. Because he occupied that house for a very, very, very long time.
He used to run it at the, for those of you who've been to the Mulligan Hill Band Fest, he used to, there's a vendor there.
Yeah. Bob's a very nice guy, he's a learned guy, and I believe he was an engineer for RCA Camden, correct?
Yeah, he was, I bought quite a bit of stuff from him over the years.
Yeah.
And he was an engineer at RCA. The work he did on the stuff that he sold was very nice, and he was just a super nice person to deal with.
Yeah, and that's why he wants to do this for our club. How can you not thank the guy for something like that? And again, it's free, guys. Please don't ask me again. It is free.
Except for Tom. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's also a hand, lived down there somewhere, I think it was something, it was, Tom, was also a NJARC member, we didn't see a lot of him, you may remember him.
Yeah, somebody said they used to come together
Yes.
to the club meeting.
He has passed away.
Yeah, I remember him from the Luke Church. Now, again, you're all welcome to come, and if you don't, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Robert, would you like to say something? Robert, come up here.
Okay. Just a few words for those of you that restore radios. I have 3 people who might help you try to restore radios. The first one is for the dials, the plastic dials. There's a fellow named Mark Holmquist, who's usually at Cutstown.
He is.
And he's very good. I've used him. He's very fast, good with us, and he goes out of his way. For example, I had a national radio needed a round dial, and he actually made up 2 dials and sent them just to say whatever one fits better. So these are good sorts. The other one is if you need any batteries, 67.5 volt, 90 volt batteries, 2 volt batteries. Tony Mayer in Australia, if you Google him, Tony Mayer, M-A-H-E-R, he was sick for a while, he had some eye problems, so he wasn't supplying them, but he's back in business, and he's good. And he has these beautiful kits, 67.5 volt battery kits that fit in the actual 67.5 volt battery. They use 4, they're either double A's or triple A's, I'm not sure, but there's no RF interference and they work well. And the nice part about his kits are you don't have to turn them on. The unit senses if there's a little bit of current. You turn the radio on, it'll sense a little, the 6 volts in the pack is detected as being on. So it's an automatic on feature is what I'm saying. And the third one is I found a guy, if you ever need a handle, sometimes it's tough. I just restored a Theta 33. And I picked it up, I threw batteries in it, it worked perfectly, and not realizing that the batteries would make it heavy, and so this guy, I don't have his name here, but if you can, my name is Robert Forte, you can get in touch with me, and I have a guy out in Tucson, he made a handle for $20.
Is this leather?
Yeah, beautiful, and you would not know the difference, it was perfect. And the other thing, this is on a personal note, if anybody wants to share a table that cuts down, please see me later. I don't want to stay the whole 3 days, 2 days. So if you want to, I can share a table with you. Thank you.
Okay, that's interesting about the leather handles, because I can't imagine anybody.
Yeah, he'll do it.
leather.
I asked him, he says, yeah, it was $20 for the handle, and it was.
You can't beat that. And we certainly have so many radios with broken leather handles. Okay. All right, any other new business?
Well, I just like this. Is anybody going to the Terry auction in Mass? Who wants to share the ride? Anybody? Yes, no.
John Cummer's gone.
What?
John Cummer is gone. Yeah, but he was on Island.
Yeah, no.
He did
He's not a club member, right?
Yes, he is.
John Cummer?
You can intercept him in New York somewhere.
That's about it? Nobody's going?
Okay. All right. right. All right, so after a quick break tonight, guys, it's 8:30 already. A quick break in sale of 50/50s. Yes. Oh,
Is there a can?
yes.
Oh, yeah, well, okay. Hold on.
Oh, great. All right, sale of 50/50s, guys. Can we get some help? Can you do some? All right, great. And help Sal. Who's going to help Sal? Oh, thank you. Good. And then we're going to have our talk on Reggie Fassenden. Okay? Anybody know Reggie Fassenden? We're going to find out a whole lot more tonight, thanks to Al Clays. Okay? So be right back. Oh, and after that, we'll have the continuation of the Pete Olin collection that he's very generously donated to the club also. And Pete happens to be here this evening. It's wonderful. Thank you very much.